Welcome back, Focus learners, to another edition of The Explainer. Okay, so today we are setting the stage for an absolutely mind-expanding journey. We're going to look at the real, unsimulated data of our universe, and honestly, we're going to use space as the backdrop to completely shatter some of the most fundamental assumptions you might have about how the cosmos actually works. Get ready, because what we're about to map out, well, it changes absolutely everything. Let's just jump right in. I want to start off by asking you a really profound question. It's kind of a concept that challenges the very first thing we are all taught in grade school astronomy. What if the empty vacuum of space isn't actually empty at all? I mean, what if that universal truth of a dark, silent, empty void is, well, nothing more than an optical illusion? Okay, let's dive into this, because the empirical reality backed by massive telescope datasets and quantum field theory is that space is actually saturated. It operates way more like a continuous vibrating fluid, basically a massive cosmic ocean. So rather than just plowing through an empty void and leaving wakes behind them, massive vibrating cores like our sun actually excavate this primary background substrate. They physically carve out geometric contours in this non-vacuum medium, and matter simply aggregates and settles within those excavated zones. You, me, the Earth, the stars, we are literally all just passengers riding in a structured fluid. Now think about it. If space is a fluid system, it's gotta have a pulse, right? We call this the universal hum. It's the baseline acoustic frequency and the underlying pressure field that completely permeates the cosmos. And here's why this is absolutely crucial. In traditional astrophysics, scientists actually had to invent an invisible substance called dark matter just to explain why galaxies spin the way they do without, flying apart. But here is the incredible thing. In a fluid matrix, you don't even need dark matter. The universal hum acts as the underlying hydraulic driver of all galactic motion. It creates these massive pressure gradients that actually hold entire star systems together. And this brilliantly illustrates how the universe organizes itself. We're talking about a cosmic substrate made of bubbles within bubbles. Our solar system isn't just drifting randomly out there. The heliosphere acts like this incredibly dense, frictionless fluid gyro, sitting safely inside massive, nested galactic housings. Every single boundary is locked in tightly by ambient interstellar head pressure. Let's walk through this scaling really quickly to grasp the sheer dimensions we're talking about here. We start small, well, cosmically speaking, right, at our heliosphere. That's roughly 120 astronomical units across. It's basically our localized plasma boundary layer driven by the sun. But then, zoom out, and we see we're sitting inside the local bubble. That is a massive 1,000 light-year cavity of rarefied, high-temperature ionized hydrogen. And then, zoom out again. Now we enter the galactic disk. This spans tens of thousands of parsecs. This is the macro ocean where massive resonant currents actually flow, carrying entire star clusters along like driftwood. So now we're leaving the comfort of our local bubble and transitioning out into the broader macro ocean of the Milky Way. And I really want to be perfectly clear about something here. To map this physical flow, we aren't relying on some theoretical computer simulation. No way. We are tracking real, unsimulated telescope telemetry directly from the ESA Gaia spacecraft. We're using actual, real-world stellar coordinates to chart the true physical currents of our galaxy. To do this, we sweep the data out to an astonishing 20,000 parsecs. Just to put that into perspective, that is a query spanning over 65,000 light-years of space. It captures the entire global circulation pattern of the Milky Way disk. And what the real data proves at this breathtaking scale is that the galaxy doesn't just behave like some random chaotic cloud of disconnected stars. It behaves exactly like a unified, continuous, fluid ocean. Now, what's really interesting about this is what happens when we apply a mathematical plane analysis to these massive cluster hubs. The data perfectly resolves into this ultra-thin flatness ratio. But notice that roughly 315 parsec track distortion? That is not an instrument error. Actually, that is the literal, physical measurement of the galactic disk's vertical warp. The medium itself is corrugating. It's like a massive sheet vibrating under a mega harmonic wave. And that brings us to the resonance architecture of the disk. So instead of a random, chaotic drift, the spinning galactic core is acting as a primary wave engine. It literally radiates these immense acoustic density waves deep into the substrate. As these waves ripple out, they carve vast, razor-thin valleys of low gravitational potential. Entire open star clusters simply pool inside these wave valleys. They travel together like unified macrocurrents, maintaining perfect pressure equilibrium across thousands of light years. It's like a giant puzzle perfectly locking together. Let's push our boundary even further out, all the way to 40,000 parsecs, just to see how this builds. At this extreme horizon, we hit the physical edge of the disk resonance. The flat, dense disk suddenly transitions into the massive, spherical boundary layer of the outer dark matter halo. Out here, those unified fluid currents give way to ancient tidal streams that wrap around the galaxy in complex, three-dimensional orbits. We've basically found the walls of our galactic bubble. Okay. So, if the entire galaxy is structured by these massive acoustic waves, what is actually generating them? It's time to shift gears here and dive deep into the real data of the core. We are plunging straight into the engine, the supermassive central impeller that drives all of these cosmic currents, Sagittarius A star. Now, we really need to contrast standard textbook assumptions against the actual physical data. You know the textbook black hole, right? It's usually drawn as a 2D drain, this archaic, invisible point of infinite density consuming everything through an empty mathematical funnel. But the real data? It reveals a 3D plasma bow shock. It's a highly dynamic, perfectly spherical, high-tension equilibrium shell. It is definitely not an empty doorway. It's a massive, physical ball plowing right through the interstellar medium, creating this intense pileup of superheated gas. And because this boundary is so incredibly compressed, it acts as a plasma mirror. In plasma physics, when magnetic fields in ionized gases become this unimaginably dense, they stop absorbing light entirely and start acting as a total conductor. So the core appears dark not because it's magically swallowing all the photons into some void, but because its impenetrable shell perfectly scatters and reflects them outward. That's what casts that stark, dark silhouette against the glowing gas. So the crucial point is the breathtaking dynamic shock front we're mapping here. This is an active pressure boundary layer. The core is just constantly bombarded by fierce, supersonic stellar winds. And when those winds slam into the ambient medium, they form a massive, permanent bow shock. This isn't just some dormant object resting in space. This is a massive, sweeping impeller that is forcefully driving the fluid dynamics of our entire galaxy. All of this creates a totally fascinating mechanical effect known as fluid gravity duality. The core creates a localized compression boundary which drives continuous inward fluid currents. So any light attempting to travel outward is forced to fight against this massive incoming cosmic wind. Eventually, the inward acceleration of the medium actually outpaces the speed of light itself. The photons literally cannot push past the boundary, so they just stack up. They form a brilliant permanent optical shock front that looks to our telescopes exactly like an event horizon. To summarize the ultimate paradigm shift we've explored today, I want to share this quote. The galaxy is a macro-scale cavitation bubble. It is a dynamic, pressurized fluid manifold. Think about that. We do not live in an empty, disconnected void. Not at all. We live inside a deeply connected, resonant hydraulic system where every single star and cluster is perfectly synced to the background pulse of the cosmos. Which leaves us with one final, frankly staggering thought. If our entire Milky Way galaxy is just one pressurized bubble circulating in a vast, kinetic ocean, what colossal inter-universal currents are waiting to be mapped outside our walls? The cosmic ocean is vast, and we have barely even begun to chart its tides. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, focused learners. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.